Hey, this is Mark with Dine Digital, and you're watching The Dish. Thanks for tuning in. And if you don't know who Dine Digital is, we help restaurants by getting the word out about themselves, whether that's through Google or just redoing websites or helping them with their advertising and those such types of things. But the main thing that we're focusing on right now is getting the word out about restaurants through this interview show. And we're really glad to have a new friend come on today from the PDX or Portland, and that's Renee from Toro Bravo. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for having me on today.
Yes, we're so glad to have you. It's been a kind of crazy time the last few months, but we're hoping to see some turnarounds not only for the whole country, but you guys in particular. Hope things are going well, and we're going to learn a little bit about you guys. So let's jump right into it. Can you tell us your story?
Yeah, absolutely. We opened Toro Bravo 13 years ago here in Portland, Oregon, and Toro Bravo, I still consider my first baby. It's such a special, magical place, and I'm eager and excited to get our dining room back open. We also plan on expanding out into a patio space that we're building out right now. So Toro Bravo really was the launch of what grew to be a thriving restaurant group. There's 10 restaurants in our group now. And, we really, my husband, John Gorham, who's the chef owner and partner, we worked the floor and, I worked the floor. He worked the line at Toro Bravo for the first 7 years. And we started opening, more restaurants. People like to refer to us as an empire, but that feels a little weird. So after we opened Toro Bravo, we opened Tasty and Alder. We have Tasty and Daughters, Mediterranean Exploration Company. We have two Shalom Y'all locations, which is all about Israeli street food. We have a beautiful event space called Plaza del Toro, which I can tell you a little bit about that later in the show. We've essentially turned it into a community commissary kitchen during this shutdown. We have two Bless Your Heart burgers, and we have a new concept that we actually just opened in the middle of this pandemic, which I thought was crazy at the time, but it's a little kind of micro restaurant offering vegan and gluten-free falafel bowls. So that's really fun. And then we are currently building out another project called Yala, and that's going to be over in Multnomah Village. So even as the world feels like it kind of came to an end sometime, we're still charging forward and making it work. So
Excellent. I like the Mediterranean flavor that I keep hearing. I was
yeah.
able to visit Israel about 3 years ago and got to have some authentic street falafels and all that kind of stuff. So that's always good.
Such incredible flavors coming out of that cuisine. Travel is so important to us. It's really, the inspiration behind most of our restaurants. My husband, John, has been to Spain 15 times now. He goes every year and he actually tours people around on kind of a culinary trip around the country. So, Toro Bravo is Spanish, and it's a really beautiful marriage of Spanish inspiration with local and seasonal products. Oregon has such a bounty of, wonderful farms, and, the sea is close, the mountains are close. We're really in this amazing area for wine and um, all of the wonderful things the earth gives us. Lane, you have a
Oh, forgot to mute my phone. Whoops.
call.
All right, moving right along. How did you get started? You and your husband, I guess, kind of got into this journey together. So how did your story start as far as the restaurant industry?
Wow. Well, that'll take me back to actually my childhood. um, I've always known that I wanted to be in the restaurant industry. It sounds crazy, but I was actually 4 years old, and I grew up in a big family. I have five sisters, and for our birthdays, my dad would take us to a restaurant by ourselves. It was like a daddy daughter date, and he took me to this place called Opus 2, and I just fell in love with we would sit at the kitchen counter, the chef's counter, and we'd watch the line cooks flaming, and I just felt like such a little princess, and I just fell in love with this idea that the restaurant world could kind of take me away, and I knew from that point on that I would be in this world. And so I got my first job really young. I was 14 and started working in restaurants, and I got hired at places that like teenagers would. And then by the time I was 17, I started working at a spot called Pizzicato. Spent about 3 years there. Moved up the street a couple blocks to a place called Sammy's. It was a Portland institution at the time. Unfortunately, it's no longer there. And then from there, I shifted over to a fine dining restaurant called Paley's Place, which is another just, piece of Portland history. Spent 5 years, really learned from my mentor, Kimberly Paley, and just took in everything about service and wine. And I really felt like I kind of became a global citizen, learning so much about history and travel and, the connections that food make for people. I just fell in love. After that, in 2007, I opened Toro Bravo with John. We actually weren't married at the time, but hey, it's the restaurant industry. These things happen. And we've been together ever since. So 13 years later, we're going to just keep on going even during this really hard time.
Oh, right on. Love at first bite.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. All righty then. We're going to move on to the next question. So when your guests show up at your restaurant, specifically Toro Bravo, what can they expect?
They can expect to be welcomed like they would be coming into my home. An incredible level of hospitality is so important to us. We really want to create an energy in the dining room that is all about an experience. You could come and get a burger and a beer, and that's totally fine too. Or you could come and enjoy, a huge variety of tapas. We have an amazing Spanish wine list and a sherry program that is really exceptional. Sherry has a bad reputation of being your grandmother's sweet cream sherry, and there is just a world to explore in sherry. And it's a feeling, like there's this feeling that I want my guests to take away, that we are so truly glad that you are here, and we want to just blow you away with not only quality food, exceptional bar program, but with a service that you're going to remember. Toro Bravo is a really special place, and there is some magic in the dining room. We've had some really fun nights there. It tends to get a little bit rowdy. We love to pack them in. Gosh, I miss packing people into my dining room and creating that buzz. We have some standing tapas bars like you would see in Spain, and then we also kind of spill out onto the streets in the summer. Nice. So it's a party, and it's a lot of fun, and one day, hopefully very soon, we'll get back to it.
Let's do that. Let's get back to fun. Just telling the story a little bit more, how can you tell us about the uniqueness of Toro Bravo?
Yeah, Toro Bravo it is not like any other Spanish restaurant that I've ever been to. It really is unique in the way that over the years, we've traveled to every region of Spain. So we're not really diving into, one region in particular. I think a lot of people have this idea of what a Spanish restaurant should be. We're not necessarily one of those spots on the Ramblas that's, just picking and choosing a few little bites. You really have an opportunity to explore all of the regional cuisine of Spain, and the wine list matches that opportunity. It's divided out by region. And so, you can just be guided through this wine list and almost get this kind of Spanish education while you're making your selection. So Toro Bravo, in addition to the kind of multi-regional experience with the food, I think what makes Toro Bravo unique is that magic in the dining room. It's that feeling that, the music's on, there's always a buzz. It's, it's like being, I don't know if you've been to Spain, but there is just this kind of magic that happens when people are really enjoying people's company, really enjoying the food, taking their time, and just, enjoying that connectivity that happens at the table.
Yes, I have yet to visit, although my favorite soccer club is Barcelona. So it's on my bucket list. So someday I want to be able to take the family on a European soccer figures.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
the girls probably
hopefully.
won't care much about that, but they can go to the museums and the art history and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, the museums are amazing. Hopefully, we'll all get to travel again soon. We also have a lot of great relationships with Spanish chefs, and we actually fly them out to Portland from time to time to do events and pop ups. We threw a Spanish food festival called La Ruta a few years back that I am looking forward to hosting again. Once we can throw big events. So
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, my mother-in-law is Colombian, but her heritage is Spanish. And so they went to Barcelona area, not was it within a year or so ago. So they got there before I did, but I will.
when you go, San Sebastian is my favorite place in Spain. It's just beautiful. Definitely have to hit me up for some tips when you make your plans.
There we go. All right, so someone comes into the restaurant to get a bite to eat. What's that one thing you're going to say, hey, you better try this?
Well, we definitely have some signature dishes that have been on the menu really since the beginning. As seasonal as we are, we also really believe in consistency. And there's something about going, to a restaurant and just getting that one dish that you're really craving. So there is a dish we have called the house smoked copa steak. My husband was a butcher previously before opening Toro. And so he takes a cut from the shoulder, a roast. He cold smokes it. It's got a really heavy salt and spice rub on it. And then it is slow roasted and sliced. It's served with salvachada, which is an almond and paprika garlic sauce and olive oil, poached fingerlings and caramelized onions and cracked green olives. The flavors are really big in that dish, so it kind of punches in the face a little bit. And then there's all sorts of wonderful little kind of what we call kisses. They're like literally little bites. And as we've traveled to Spain over the years, every time we return, John adds and changes the menu. He's definitely played with a lot of fun molecular gastronomy, and we have these spherical olives that we call the Toro Kiss, and it's literally a liquid made with olive, pureed olive and olive juice, and then it's spherified and you pop it in your mouth and it just bursts with flavor. So it's really fun to watch people experience that happening when they don't really expect that flavor and that texture thing to literally explode in their mouth. I could go on and on, but you'll have to just come and join us and see for yourself. Tell us what you love.
Yes, sounds good. So the next stage of our talk, we're going to highlight your Instagram and show off some of the dishes. And so I'm going to drop for a little bit and click on a few of the items, and you can just tell us the story of those dishes.
Oh, we got some good ones up here. So we do all our own house cured charcuterie at Toro Bravo. And so that first picture there is, one of our charcuterie boards. You've got a fouette, you've got our chorizo. There's some little kisses there, which are prunes that are stuffed with foie gras. They've been soaked in a Spanish brandy. Up in the top right, you've got some sherry chicken liver mousse, which is just silky and not overpoweringly with the, that kind of chalky thing that can happen with chicken livers. So it's a really beautiful texture. So definitely would encourage you to try some charcuterie. The next one, this is fun. This is the tarta de Santiago. So this is a classic cake in Spain. You'll see it all over, of course, in Santiago. It's a very kind of dense and rich and moist cake. And this one is served with a little bit of lemon curd and cream. Personally, I love it for breakfast. And you can really just enjoy that any time of the day. So this is what we're doing right now. Unfortunately, everything's got to go in a box. Doesn't really have the same feel as making a beautiful presentation on a plate, but this is one of our kind of family meals, dinner for two. So in here, you've got just a variety of different flavors and goodies. It's essentially an easy way to order for your family or party of two. There's lots of seasonal stuff in there right now, like the baby artichokes. You've got some gorgeous braised greens, and then that pork chop. the picture doesn't do it justice, but unfortunately that's what we're all experiencing right now during this pandemic, only offering takeout, but the flavors will blow you away. Okay. This is the Toro Bravo paella. It looks like this is a home version. Somebody's cooked it in a cast iron, and then that's our radicchio salad. So that's a really fun one as well. The radicchio is a classic dish. We have actually a radicchio salad, a different version on every one of our menus. Radicchio's just got this great kind of bitter flavor, and this one's done with manchego cheese and a little olive tapenade on toast. This is octopus. So this isn't a complete dish. That day when we were sold out, we had a big catering order that came through for a bunch of families that were dining together. So that octopus is halfway in production.
Okay, very cool. I got to see some really interesting and tasty looking food. Let's see. We're going to switch me back. And Jillian jumped on to say yum, so I think she caught.
Hi, sister. That's my sister.
Nice. So she probably knows very well how good the food is.
Yes. Yes,
Awesome.
she does.
Very nice. So obviously, let's throw this up right now since we were just on Instagram. So be sure, if you don't already, follow Toro Bravo PDX. That's what we were just looking at. And that's where you can find even more tasty looking food and tasty tasting food. While you're online following people, you can follow us at dine.digital. And we try to have as many of these type of conversations as possible. All right, moving right along. So for your guests that come from out of town, what's something that some things that you would suggest that they partake of while they're in the PDX?
Yes. Oh, there's so many wonderful things to enjoy here. Like I said, we've got the mountains are close by. You've got the ocean a couple hours from Portland, and then you have wine country. So, starting your trip, staying downtown or staying in one of the neighborhoods. There's so many unique neighborhoods in Portland to explore, and I think we've got a restaurant in just about every quadrant of the city now, so you can find our flavors wherever you land. Some of my personal favorites are the Japanese garden. It's just a beautiful afternoon. There's the rose garden up there, strolling along the Esplanade. Portland is a really beautiful and very walkable city. And what you'll find over the summer, if you are able to come and visit us, is a lot of outdoor commerce or dining al fresco. So in response to COVID, I've actually been working with the city, and we have successfully just allowed for businesses to start spilling into the streets. So you're going to see a lot of kind of plazas and promenades and sidewalk cafes. We all know it's safer to be, in open air right now. We want to make sure our guests and our staff feel safe. So you'll find just a plethora of restaurants with outdoor tables, kind of that little taste of Europe. So really excited to see that happening, and appreciate how amazing the city was in response to, the ask from the restaurant community. We asked and they listened, and that feels really good.
That's great. So how much do you identify with Portlandia, the television show? Is that...
You can never really escape Portlandia. There is definitely a little slice of truth there. I think it's we're never going to get away from the image that Portlandia presented. And it's funny, we're known for having a very kind of hipster environment, but I would say that we're not necessarily the place young people go to retire, which is how the show framed it. But there is a uniqueness about Portland that was, I think, represented in that show. They, of course, took it to another level.
Yeah.
But, we've got like the fermentation festival here, and that was actually started by the co-author of the two cookbooks that we have out. We have a Toro Bravo Cookbook and a Hello, My Name is Tasty Cookbook, and those were co-authored by Liz Crane. And Liz actually is the founder of the Fermentation Festival. So if you want to come and learn all about every kind of pickle and ferment and soy, and there's such a cool kind of geeky world of stinky good stuff. Learn about kombucha ideas and all that. So, we do have these unique things. Like I think as a community, we care about where our food comes from. We have chickens in our backyards and gardens in our front yards. And we really are a unique community. And yes, Portlandia is a lot of fun, but there's also a lot of seriousness here in Portland. There's a lot of people who take their craft very seriously. And, like I said, you're never going to escape the Portlandia effect.
Yeah, it's all in good fun.
Yeah.
So you guys have done it over and over again. So for someone maybe that hasn't done it, what's some wisdom you would impart to starting a restaurant?
Oh, that's a hard question right now. I think that you don't come into this industry unless you really love it. This is a labor of love in every way. And I think, I feel like we're starting over right now in so many ways. We're rebuilding and, relaunching our dining rooms and rethinking everything. If I could offer some advice to somebody, just getting into the business or taking that, big leap to owning and operating their own space, I would say make sure you give yourself a break, because you can work yourself right into the ground, and really connect with your staff. We do not do this by ourselves. Our team is what makes our company, just run so smoothly. I'm so grateful for them. So I would say host your staff with as much priority as hosting your guests.
Beautiful. Love it. So if there's something in the industry that you could change, what would that look like?
Not having COVID, other than the obvious. I think the restaurant industry has some built-in, back of the house, front of the house, equity issues. I think that we should be able to, distribute our tips how we like. I think that we should be able to make sure we're, paying people a living wage. I don't want to advocate for not tipping, but one thing that we do is we actually have 2 tip lines on our guest checks, and so you can choose to tip the kitchen directly, which has been a really cool thing. It really has allowed them to make a little bit more, because in the history of the tipped world, there has definitely been some inequity on that front. So
I hear you. That has probably been the one change idea that keeps coming up over and over in our conversations we've been having. All right. So, as far as what you love most, can you give us a little insight on your restaurant loves?
Oh, what I love most about being a restaurateur, I can't imagine doing anything else. I love hosting people, and I've kind of shifted, especially recently, with this, kind of community advocacy in mind. And I've allowed myself to continue to work myself out of jobs, and that's allowed us to scale up and to grow. But it's also given me a broader framework. I really have I feel a deep obligation to host all of Portland. Right now I can't have guests inside of my spaces, and so during this pandemic, we had to really shift and think about how we can find our customer and show them our hospitality outside of our walls. One thing that has allowed us to do is start a program called Feed It Forward. That was in response to COVID, but it was a really natural kind of progression for our company. We've always, been really close to our community, nonprofit partners, and supported several of them over the years. So Feed It Forward is it's a meal train sponsorship program, essentially, where through the generosity and kindness of donations from our community, we are able to feed people in need in several different platforms. So one thing that we do is we do a free food bag program every day, or every Friday, from our event space Plaza del Toro. We also have sliding scale menu options available at any of our restaurants, offering takeout. If you are facing food insecurity, we will gladly feed your family. Just give us a call. And then we partnered with 4 different nonprofits in the Portland area. Those are PAIR, those are Portland Homeless Family Solutions, New Avenues for Youth, and Rosehaven. So we've allowed them a little bit of a break because they're doing whatever they can to serve their communities. And we're basically providing food for the people that they serve. So Feed It Forward has been an amazing program. It's allowed us to continue employing our staff. It's allowed us to, keep supporting our farmers and our purveyors, our ranchers, and our fishermen. And, it's really been the most heartfelt and silver lining in this pandemic to witness the generosity and the kindness of others. So if you go to, there it is, the Toro Bravo Inc. website, that's torobravoinc.com, you will find all the information about Feed It Forward, and we would love to ask you to help us feed it forward by making a donation if you are able. And you can donate directly to support one of those nonprofits, to a general fund. We're also feeding healthcare workers on the front lines at local hospitals. You can also donate to the sliding scale meal program. So many options. We just really want to make sure that we keep ourselves present and that we can keep doing what we're doing. And it's been an incredible program. We've served over 6,500 meals right now. And we were actually just awarded a small grant from the Oregon Hospitality Foundation, which was such an honor. So really excited to share that program with you today.
That is awesome. I echo what Renee was saying. Do whatever you can to help support this awesome endeavor, and feeding people. People need to eat, and whether or not there is a virus going around. So thanks for doing that, you and your team. That's awesome. And we're just about finishing up. We wanted to get one more thing out of you, and that's a pro tip. So what can you share with us that's going to make us better at making food?
Pro tip? Well, everybody's cooking at home right now. I honestly am, well, I'm clearly not the chef in my family since I'm literally married to a chef. My pro tip is to keep it simple and keep it seasonal. So, if you haven't started a garden yet, go plant a tomato, go put some, dig in the earth. I'm a big gardener. I love to, really eat what's fresh and in season. And if you want to tune in to watch a little cooking show that John and I are putting on, we're doing that on the Travel Portland Instagram. It's a live stream cooking show. The next one will be on June 8th at 6:00. And we actually have a really fun program. We ask our audience what you got. So we say, what's in your pantry, what's in the fridge, how can we help you utilize what you got and not necessarily have to make a trip to the store. So people call in or email or post about 5 or 6 different ingredients, and then John actually creates a dish out of those. So really fun if you want to check that out on the Travel Portland Instagram, Monday, June 8th.
Oh, nice. That's the one. I am not a chef. Let's not get that twisted. But there have been times that I've been known to do something like that. Just find whatever's available and come up with a concoction.
Right? Yeah, you got to use your stuff. I think that the grocery stores can be the scariest places right now. So thinking about planning meals and, what do you do with that bag of wild rice that's been in the back of your pantry for like 6 years? It's still good, I promise. There's beans, there's, all sorts of stuff. So we'll help you clean out your fridge.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's going to pretty much put our time together to an end. Right. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, we're really eager to get our doors back open and serve you in our dining rooms. And we just want to thank everybody for their support and their kindness during this crisis. So share the love with your local restaurant community, order takeout, not just from us, but from everybody. We all need the support right now.
I agree with those sentiments. And for everyone watching, thanks for tuning in, whether it's live or on a play on YouTube or wherever you see this. Please follow and like and share all the things that you've been seeing. Yeah. So dine.digital, Toro Bravo PDX. You can find links to other things that they're involved with that we've already heard about, and there are other amazing restaurants, which we just got a little piece of that today. But Renee, thank you so much for taking time out and telling you guys' story. We appreciate it. And for everyone else, stay safe, and looking forward to being able to go inside of Toro Bravo and many other places all around the U.S.
We can't wait to host you.
All right. We'll see y'all.